A day after the Russian forces left Bucha, the so-called Botsman boys from the Ukrainian Territorial Defense moved in. Their commander, Sergei Korotkikh, call name Botsman, posted the following.
Actually, there is nothing to do there. Just mountains of burnt equipment and houses.
On the 2nd of April, the Ukrainian army documented their sweep of the city. Wrecked cars, broken tanks, destroyed buildings and disarray, but no bodies. And then, Botsman posted a video.
Пацаны без синих повязок. Можно по ним стрелять?
Someone without a blue ribbon is a civilian, not publicly showing loyalty to Ukraine. The order from Botsman's unit was clear: shoot them all. A day later, claims of the Bucha genocide rang out around the world. Botsman deleted his previous posts and instead started praising the West's condemnation of the atrocities. So, who is Botsman? The short answer, a lifelong neo-Nazi with a very colourful past. An ex-Belarusian citizen and member of far-right groups since the 90s, back in 2004, Botsman co-founded the Nationalist Socialist Society, a neo-Nazi group now banned in Russia. A few years later, he was accused of a failed bomb attack on one of Moscow's main squares. But he really rose to notoriety when a grisly video of his emerged in 2007 showing a pair of masked executioners shooting and beheading 2 migrants. Botsman fled Russia, first to Belarus and then to Ukraine. And while he managed to evade justice, his fellow NSS members did not.
In 2011, 13 members of the group led by Korotkikh, the National Socialist Society, were convicted for 27 murders and 50 assaults in 2008.
In Ukraine, Botsman landed on his feet. He became an instructor in the Azov battalion and then a commander fighting the separatists in Donbass. And despite alarm from local media and human rights groups, Botsman was personally handed a Ukrainian passport by then President Petro Poroshenko, where he was snapped doing the Nazi sun salutation. Less than a year after arriving in Ukraine, he became head of the Department of Strategic Objects and apparently enjoyed the patronage of the former Minister of Internal Affairs. As his status rose, so did his finances.
He had managed to accrue $1 million, 1.5 Kyiv apartments and a private plane in less than a year, and all on an official salary of $237 a month.
Rumours persist that Botsman continues his life of crime. In recent years, 2 of his close acquaintances have died in suspicious circumstances, and he's also been linked to the murder of a journalist. When war came to Ukraine, he showed his willingness to fight dirty.
You are just devils that decided to attack Ukraine. Well, we are waiting for you. Please come. We are going to play football with your severed heads.
And it seems he's being supported by people far away, with Botsman boasting of gifts from a US military company on his social media. Clearly, they're unconcerned about his checkered past, just as the media seemed willing to forgive him his sins when they took Botsman at his word about the events in Bucha.
You know, this is simple medical forensics. When you have a dead body, you subject that body to a forensic investigation inclusive of an autopsy that should be able to show the time of death, the mechanism of death, and if the body had been moved to that location or if that's the place where they died. If the Ukrainians are making these allegations, one would hope that they would carry out these kinds of investigations, these forensic investigations, and provide that data to corroborate these allegations they made. The fact that Ukraine hasn't presented this data and instead went forward with a narrative based solely upon video evidence of unproven provenance, to me is a clear indication that what we're seeing may not be reflective of the actual truth on the ground. So, Russia, I believe, clearly has demonstrated its intent to abide by the law of war. The Ukrainian government, on the other hand, has not, and they have opted to make residential areas battlefields and therefore use their own civilians as human shields. And this isn't me making this up. This is the Washington Post, which is notoriously pro-Ukrainian, having to admit what the facts on the ground are. So I think one of the reasons why the West is downplaying, the fact that it was the Ukrainian government shelling Bucha, and that, there's a probability that these dead civilians were killed by Ukrainians. They don't want that to come out. That's inconvenient to the narrative that they're trying to pursue of, a nefarious Russia.
Oats, vegetable oil, canned fish, canned meat, condensed milk. We have a little girl in our family and there are presents for a child. And our grandmother. I still don't consider myself a granny because our granny is 94 years old and there is something for her to eat too.
Yes, God was merciful. Everyone is alive, thank God. Everything is good. But a lot of people I know were affected. Someone just went out and was hit by shrapnel. It's scary and terrible. And the problem with food, I just don't know what to do. Sometimes you find something, sometimes people treat you, sometimes you receive humanitarian aid. But what should I do after it's all gone? I don't know.
Будьте всегда со своим народом, соблюдайте свою религию и культуру и обычаи своего народа и защищайте ее, а не Бандеру и нациков. Их мы все равно уничтожим. Не будет на Украине во главе с Зеленским этой сволочи. Всего вам самого хорошего. Вам, вашим близким, родным и всей Украине, чтобы поскорее это все закончилось, и вы вместе с россиянами также по-братски жили, радовались. Всего самого наилучшего. Я вижу, здесь есть девушка, да? Нет. Как вы, как у вас? Хорошо. Самочувствие нормально все? Да, хорошо. Всего самого наилучшего.